Who are the best players to target on DFS for wildcard weekend in fantasy football? It's time to break it down right here as we close another week and begin another show on Locked On Fantasy Football.
Are Locked On Fantasy, your daily NFL fantasy podcast. Part of the Locked On Podcast Network. Your team every day.
Greetings, everyone, and welcome to another edition of the Locked On Fantasy Football Podcast. As usual, I'm your host, Vinnie Iyer, and I'm not doing this. I'm writing about NFL and fantasy football for SportingNews.com. We're really excited here. Super wildcard weekend is almost here. We've got the progressive slate of games. We got 2 on Saturday, 3 on Sunday, and 1 on Monday night, closing with a great matchup between the Cowboys and Buccaneers in Tampa, starting on Saturday late afternoon with the 49ers hosting the Seahawks, and a lot of great games in between. We broke these games down for you in full here from a fantasy football perspective already. Now it's time to put them in a blender with the player values and see, based on the projections and the matchups, who are the best players to target DFS, whether you're playing cash games on FanDuel, whether you're playing tournaments on DraftKings, or just playing PrizePicks. Our PrizePicks picks of the week always close the week and the show here on Friday, lineup Friday on Locked On Fantasy Football. We'll get into that, all that fun in a moment. First, I got to tell you, thanks for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen today. We're free and available to you on all platforms. This episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/lockedonnfl. All right. So first, we're going to look at FanDuel DraftKings for what we have on Saturday. Then we're getting to Sunday and Monday. So this is for playing any of the slates that are not the showdown one-game deals, but looking at that have some crossover. Whether you're playing the whole weekend, you're just playing the primetime games, whether you're looking at Saturday and Sunday only, all kinds of ways to look at it. But this is looking at the price points and the players that will have the best return on investment depending on the type of game you're playing. So we'll do that first with the 49ers and Seahawks, and then we'll do that with the Chargers and Jaguars. And then we'll get into the action there on Sunday. We have the Dolphins and Bills. We got the Bengals and Ravens, and then a good matchup as well to start it off with the Vikings and Giants. So a lot of action to cover before we get to Buccaneers 49ers, and that or Buccaneers Cowboys, I should say. So a lot of good excitement there. Buccaneers 49ers could be a matchup here we see in the playoffs. But for now, it's Buccaneers Cowboys. 49ers kick it off. Bucks close it. So let's dive right into it here. FanDuel DraftKings, the quarterback I like most there, whatever format you're playing, based on the price, is Brock Purdy in the 49ers. We've told you how much we love his ability here to be a lock for 2 touchdowns, and that's going to be happening again. So cash games, that's very appealing because he has a high floor, but I also think he has a high ceiling this week. Deebo Samuel, having George Kittle, Brandon Ayuk, just those weapons alone. Then you add Christian McCaffrey catching the short passes out of the backfield. So different avenues for Purdy to put up numbers. Now, I think the Seahawks will be a little bit competitive here, so it's not going to be around 200 yards passing for Purdy. You might get a little bump up from that. He also has a good potential for 3 touchdown passes, and we know that he can run one in as well. So I do like that price, $7,100 in FanDuel for Purdy, $5,300 on DraftKings. All right, let's go to our running back picks here. For FanDuel, the running back that I like to get high volume and a good matchup is Travis Etienne, so $7,100. That's a good price for him. I think he has a decent floor, especially if they use him a little bit more as a wide receiver type of running back this week. And that's what they want to do. I think he got a little bit more involved here down the stretch. I know the matchup against the Titans to close things out in Week 18 was difficult. This one is a little bit easier. The Chargers' run defense is struggling. Now, Joey Bosa is back, so that makes the run defense a little bit better. But I do like Etienne volume and being involved. That's a good way to attack this Chargers defense this week. Speaking of the Chargers, Austin Ekeler, $8,300 on DraftKings. I know he's expensive. He's right behind Christian McCaffrey there. So if we're not going to go to McCaffrey, we have to go with Ekeler here in our DraftKings tournament formats, he's just going to get the ball a lot in this matchup against the Jaguars. I don't think they can slow him down. Their linebackers are not very good. They can be passed and run all over. So Ekeler in a primo spot here to be the MVP for the Chargers if they're going to try to win this game. I think it's going to be a high-scoring affair. So you want the backs involved. Those checkdowns, those passes are going to happen here to these running backs on top of the potential for scoring and a good rushing day. So at the end, 7,100, save a little bit from Ekeler there for the floor. Go for Ekeler's massive ceiling there at 8,300 on DraftKings. At wide receiver, the choice here is Tyler Lockett on FanDuel, 7,400. He's going to get enough targets here. DK Metcalf could see a little bit of Traverse Ward. They could contain him on the outside. He's a big play threat. But Tyler Lockett can move around a little bit. 49ers are giving up quite a bit in the passing game. They kind of have to. They're dominating against the run. They put teams in negative game scripts. And their secondary without Emmanuel Mosley has been a little bit weak. Not a lot of depth there. So Tyler Lockett, inside outside, can have a big effect in this game. So 7,400. I like him with some garbage time there with Geno Smith in the second half. Now, in the same game, I like Deebo Samuel for tournaments because he's only 5,700. That's a pretty low price on DraftKings. So Deebo's a perfect tournament guy at this point because he's volatile, high ceiling, but his floor is not necessarily as high as it used to be with McCaffrey and Kittle and Ayuk. So they're not wearing him down, but I think Deebo is going to get fed a little bit. He's missed time. He played a little bit last week to get kind of warmed up against the Cardinals. I think you'll see him more regular role this week. So 5,700 for Deebo, you're not going to get him much cheaper than that on DraftKings at any point in the season. All right, let's go to tight end. The choice is easy here. If you're going to pay up for cash games, you got to go to George Kittle. I mean, he's the clear top guy on the board when you measure it with no Fant in a committee there. You're really Gerald Everett fighting off a Donald Parham Jr. I do like Evan Ingram, but again, Kittle is the safer play here with his high floor. It's a great matchup. We know the Seahawks Cardinals have been the worst two teams against the tight ends all season long. Kittle had good success against them. He lit up the Cardinals. So when that matchup is alighting for the 49ers, they're going to take advantage of it. So 7,700 for Kittle. If you want to pay for Kittle on DraftKings as well, I totally understand it. But Evan Ingram is a pretty good price here at 4,400. So that would be a pivot away from Kittle if you're going there in a tournament format this week. So there you have a look at the Saturday DFS picks. Again, we will add more to this with our PrizePicks picks of the week. We'll do that in our final segment. Before we do that, we'll look at Sunday, Monday. So we'll look at what we have Bills, Dolphins, and Giants, Vikings, and Bengals, Ravens before diving into the Buccaneers and Cowboys game. So a lot still to come here as we close the week on Locked On Fantasy Football. We told you at the top that this episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is brought to you by LinkedIn Jobs. As a small business owner or hiring manager, you know that success in the year 2023 depends on the team members you surround yourself with. That's why you have to check out LinkedIn Jobs. With LinkedIn Jobs, you can hire qualified candidates more efficiently by matching open roles with people who have skills, values, and experience to help you achieve your goals as a company. And that's what you need. You need a winning team to come together, no matter how big or small. You need to put the right team in place to help you work together and just to mesh with everyone else you already have. And that's key not only for a NFL team, but also for a sports website like we have at sportingnews.com or the Locked On Network. We all support each other. Well, you need to find those candidates for your business as well. LinkedIn Jobs helps you quickly attract qualified candidates to your open jobs with targeting tools that go beyond resume data by using insights from your job post, company, and their 875 million member profiles to put your post in front of the most qualified candidates. Identify the most qualified candidates on LinkedIn Jobs and connect with them fast and for free. LinkedIn Jobs make it easy to screen and rate applicants based on your job qualifications, all on one platform. It's why small businesses linked in Jobs is rated in delivering quality hires versus competitors number one above everyone else. LinkedIn Jobs helps you find the qualified candidates you want to talk to faster. Post your job for free at linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL, all caps. That's linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL to post your job for free. Terms and conditions do apply, but check it out, linkedin.com/LockedOnNFL. This episode of Locked On Fantasy Football is also brought to you by Built Bar. Looking for a delicious treat, but don't want all the fat and calories, and you got to try a Built Bar. We've just got through the holidays. The goal for everyone is to eat a little healthier this year. And if you're like me and you want to eat healthier but don't want to compromise taste, then this is just the thing for you. You've got to try Built. With Built, healthy is actually tasty. Seriously, the bars are so delicious you won't think they're good for you. Perfect for your New Year's resolutions and coming through on it. What makes Built Bar so good? Wait for it. Well, for starters, they're covered in 1% real chocolate. That's right, 100% real chocolate. They come in unbelievably great flavors. Churro, peanut butter, brownie, coconut almond. These are fantastic. Really, I'm not sure how Built does it. These bars taste like a candy bar while maintaining amazing macros. They're so healthy for you. Only 30 calories and 4 grams of sugar with a whopping 17 grams of protein. Now you don't need to wait around for a box, and you can get them away from Built.com. So not just ordering your bars at Built Bars and such at Built.com. Now you can get them at your local Walmart or Sam's Club. That's right. Sam's Club and Walmart are going to take care of you. You head to your nearest Walmart. You can walk to the pharmacy section, grab yourself a box of Built Bars. They have 4 bar boxes of cookies and cream, double chocolate, or coconut puffs. If you're close to Sam's Club, run in and get a 13-bar box with their hit flavors, brownie batter and churro. You can thank me later. So check it out. Built Bars, available at Built.com and now at Walmart and Sam's Club. All right, it is time to continue the show here on Locked On Fantasy Football, and we'll do that in a moment. Thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first listen every day. Subscribe to the Locked On NFL podcast and get daily conversations on the biggest NFL stories, plus in-depth analysis of the biggest games with NFL key predictions. That's today, every Friday. And Monday, local insiders cover the weekend with game-to-game podcasts. Locked On NFL, available on YouTube and wherever you get your podcasts. All right, it's time to continue the show here on Locked On Fantasy Football, looking at the value plays on Sunday and Monday. So we're going to expand a little bit here with more games. We have the 3 games you can look at. We'll attack those first, the Sunday games. For cash games on FanDuel, I like Josh Allen. Pay up for him. It's okay. 9,200. He's going to be fine against the Dolphins. He's going to give you a pretty good return on the investment. He has a shot at putting up that 27 spot. So you're getting that 3x return on Josh Allen. And I like Joe Burrow on DraftKings tournament. I think he could have a big game this week. He's going to have to throw a lot. We've talked about that these are 2 guys we feel the best to hit 3 touchdown passes this week. So you look at Burrow, 6,900, like that price against the Ravens, who stop the run pretty well, but can be leaky against the pass and some coverage lapses. At running back, the 2 choices are pretty easy. Paying up for Saquon Barkley is worth it, I think. He's the biggest feature back that you can expect. He was well rested there in Week 18. 8,800 on FanDuel, you have to pay up for him, but Barkley's going to get high volume, no doubt about it, against the Vikings in that game. Speaking of the Vikings, you want to save some money and get someone who could explode here. Dalvin Cook not on the injury report, which is great news. 7,000 for him against the Giants at home. The Giants have been pretty vulnerable against the run all season long. At wide receiver, on cash games on FanDuel, I do like Stefon Diggs. Again, high floor for him. He'll deliver at 8,600 if you want to save a little bit from the real top. The top we know is Justin Jefferson. He's a good value on DraftKings. He's at the 8,400. So save a little bit there with Justin Jefferson in relation to the field on DraftKings. FanDuel, you have to pay a little too much, so I'm going to pivot to Diggs there, the former Viking versus the current Viking with that pick. Now, T. Higgins, we like, operating away from Jamar Chase. You could see a little bit of Marlon Humphrey facing Jamar Chase, and that could contain him, especially when they work him into the slot a little bit. So T. Higgins usually is on the outside. They can move him inside as well, but 7,600 on FanDuel, 5,500 DraftKings. You can really exploit the other corner, starting with Marcus Peters of the Ravens. They're tough inside as well with the safeties against the tight end. So Higgins is going to be that big target that represents that open guy with favorable coverage away from Jamar Chase. So 7,600 on FanDuel, 5,500 on DraftKings for T. Higgins. At tight end, this is an interesting situation. We actually like the same team, but different players for our tight end for Sunday's action. Mark Andrews, 6,800. So get a little bit of savings there. There's no Travis Kelce on the board. You actually have to pay more to get TJ Hawkinson. So Andrews is not the highest tight end on the board. So I like that immediately. 6,800 for cash games on FanDuel. Isaiah Likely is the unlikely guy that we like on DraftKings tournaments. He's only 3,300. Now, I think you're going to see a lot of 12 and 13 personnel using multiple tight ends here for the Ravens. They need to get someone going. Likely did fill in well for Andrews, who was resting in Week 18. So every time Andrews has not played, Likely has been effective. They got to get these 2 guys active on the field together. So that should spark an idea with Greg Roman and John Harbaugh this week. So like him, 3,300. It's a cheap play, but you can get pretty return on your investment if you can get a touchdown in this one. You'll probably already hit that 3x, and you have a shot at 4x if he gets a little bit more involved in the passing game playing off Andrews. So I do like that. So Andrews at 6,800, likely at 3,300 are your picks on DraftKings and FanDuel, respectively, from the Sunday games at tight end. All right, let's pivot to Monday night. If you're playing a combo slate here, Tom Brady is very appealing, 6,800. They're 5,900. He's the quarterback I'd rather have than Dak Prescott in this game. Again, Dak probably going to lean on the running game, a little bit grindy of an offense where I think we've seen Brady with a high volume of passing. That's how you attack the Cowboys on the outside with Trayvon Diggs and the others. So 6,800 FanDuel, 5,900 DraftKings. Going at running back, I think the value lies in Tony Pollard at 6,900, a little bit cheaper in relation to the rest of the field there against the Buccaneers. And the Buccaneers are tough to run on the inside, so maybe not as much for Ezekiel Elliott, but on the outside for Pollard. So 6,900 for him. And on DK, I think you pivot to Leonard Fournette, 5,600. He's a cheap value. Pollard and Elliott are more expensive there. So you like Fournette a little bit more because he's guaranteed to get touches over Rashad White. The price points are close enough where you can go with Fournette this week. All right, at wide receiver, this is pretty easy as well. We're going with teammates just like we did on Sunday with the tight ends with the Ravens. Here we're going with the Buccaneers. Chris Godwin, high floor, 7,200. Point work in the slot here. We know he has the 100-yard reception total from the regular season. So 7,200 there on FanDuel. I think he'll be busy working slot. And if you're going for the tournaments, who has the big play upside with touchdowns, that's Mike Evans at 6,900 there playing off Trayvon Diggs, who's a high risk taker. So we could see Diggs on Evans. We could see other favorable matchup comes toward Evans. So I like that price. At tight end, you really have one choice here. You can't really risk K-Dot, and Dalton Schultz is the guy getting a little bit more involved. The Bucs have been a little bit vulnerable against the tight end. 6,200 on FanDuel and 4,300 on DraftKings for one Dalton Schultz. All right, that takes care of a look at your DFS for FanDuel and DraftKings over the 3 days of the wildcard weekend. Now we will turn our attention to the PrizePicks Picks of the Week, our flagship DFS sponsor here. We'll talk about that in our final segment. Before we do that, I got to tell you about our betting partner here at Locked On Fantasy Football. It's BetOnline.net, and it's a great time of year to get in on the action. We got NFL playoffs. I know the college football playoff just ended with Georgia destroying TCU, but we're headed towards college basketball, the heart of that season, conference play, heading towards the tournament. So love that as action. Get the latest odds and trends for every professional amateur league out there, from pro football to college hoops and beyond. They've got it all covered for you at BetOnline.net. If you love sports podcasts, and we know you do, listening to Locked On Network, you can even find those at BetOnline as well. They're always the fastest and easiest way to get your betting information. Head to the website today or use the mobile device to learn more. BetOnline, where the game starts. It's time to close the show here, looking at our PrizePicks picks of the week. So we got some juicy selections for you. We'll get into them. This week, we're giving you 12. That's right. It's Super Wildcard Weekend. Everything's bigger. We got 6 games. We're going to give you 12 picks for the PrizePicks. Again, all you have to do is pick 2 to 6 players, and they go more or less in their PrizePicks projection. You're going to cash in nicely. So pretty easy. No playing against other people, just against the projections available here. So let's get into it. We'll have 2 quarterback passing yard predictions here for you. Now, we are going for the over or the more, I should say, as we always do here. So going more than what we're looking for with all these numbers. So we're looking at Daniel Jones, 238.5 here for his passing total. We're going more for Daniel Jones. Daniel Jones is going to have to throw quite a bit here. The Vikings should have some success moving the ball with Dalvin Cook and Justin Jefferson. The negative game script is probably going to happen here. Last time the Vikings had to rally late, I think now it'll be on the Giants. So 238.5, like that low number, and going with Daniel Jones for more than that. I'm also going more on Joe Burrow, 272.5 passing yards. He's going to have to throw quite a bit on the Ravens. The Ravens can stop the run. The Bengals have not been a good running team anyway, with the Joe Mixon averaging less than 4 yards to carry. So it's 272.5. That's a reasonable number where we can attack Joe Burrow this week. All right, so those are 2 quarterbacks that we're going more with. 238.5 for Jones, 272.5 for Burrow. Let's go to our running backs. And really, there's one also non-running back here. We're looking at Christian McCaffrey, 72.5. He definitely is a running back. I think he'll blow past that against the Seahawks, especially if the weather conditions are like that. They're going to rely a lot on the run. I know they have Elijah Mitchell healthy, but Debo Samuel's also in the mix. So I do like CMC 72.5. It's a low number there. So we're going more with that. And Debo, we're going to go Debo instead of anyone else here. 12.5 is his number here. So we're going more. I think Debo's going to get 1 or 2 carries here, and I think he's going to shoot past this number. So 12.5. We're going more for Debo Samuel. So 2 members of the 49ers backfield, but really Samuel is that extension of the backfield at wide receiver. Again, if the weather conditions are not pristine here, that's going to help Samuel. He's a good mutter, as we saw all the way back in week 1 against the Bears. That was a tough game. We lost a fumble. They lost that game, but Samuel can do well in any condition as well as Christian McCaffrey. So I like that. 12.5, going a little bit of a pivot here, not with the quarterback or running back there, with more on the rushing yards. Austin Ekeler is only at 49.5 rushing yards. Yeah, we're going to do that against the Jaguars run defense. So I like that number quite a bit. Same game we liked Etienne. We told you 70.5.5. It's going to be close on Etienne. It's going to make us sweat a little bit. I feel very comfortable to clear Ekeler, but Etienne just worth that chance there at 75.5 to me, based on his usage here for this all-important wildcard game against the Chargers. We like Tyler Lockett. We told you in other forms of DFS, we also like him here. 60.5 is the receiving yard number, so we're going more with Tyler Lockett. George Kittle, we want a little bit of volume from him. We know he can score touchdowns, so maybe the touchdown is a little bit better here to go with the more. But we're going George Kittle, 40.5 yards, also going more than that as well. Austin Ekeler times 2, 35.5 receiving yards. I do like him quite a bit in his dual threat role. So I see him being a 60-60 player this week. So that would clear both numbers pretty healthily here. So looking at Austin Ekeler in both rushing and receiving for more than his yardage projection at PrizePicks. Stefon Diggs, we said he's going to act like the alpha, dominate the targets here. 77.5 is his number, receiving yardage. We're going more than that. Tyreek Hill, I get the quarterback change has really hurt. Started Tua Tagovailoa. He was ruled out. Teddy Bridgewater not looking good. So it's looking at like Skylar Thompson, but 61.5 for Tyreek Hill. Just too low not to go after the more there. And finally, Isaiah Hodgins, a very low number, 44.5 for the Giants, but had a good game the first time against the Vikings. So watch out for him being very effective in this one, as well as a key target. They're playing off Richie James and Darius Slayton for Daniel Jones. So we got to tie someone to Daniel Jones. I think if Daniel goes for more than 240 yards there, you would expect Hodgins to get a good chunk of that. So it's a good correlated play here on PrizePicks as we finish the week with our prize picks. Picks a week only on Locked On Fantasy Football. Well, it's exciting. We have a lot of ways to play this week. There's mini leagues that can start. There's a playoff league that you can play in. There's DFS. There's 3 ways to play here with FanDuel and DraftKings, and of course, PrizePicks. So it should be a lot of fun this weekend. The playoffs, everything is a little bit more intense, and it's fun to have that extension of fantasy football throughout the playoffs. So we're glad that we can break those down for you. It'll get more exciting only when we get to the divisional playoffs. Now, programming reminder, we won't be here on Monday. It's Martin Luther King Day, so we'll take that day off, and we'll come back after that game on Monday night, Buccaneers, Cowboys, and kind of break down all the things that happened. Look at what happens with the teams that advance. Look at the teams that were eliminated, what they go from there. So we'll have reaction to all that there with the 12 teams, the 6 winners, 6 losers there on Tuesday's show. So program reminder, Tuesday's show before we turn the page there to the divisional playoffs. So thanks again for making Locked On Fantasy Football your first of the day. For your second listen, check out Locked On NFL. Bring you local insights you love with the national spotlight, daily conversations on the biggest NFL stories, including the playoffs. Locked On NFL, available on YouTube, wherever you get your podcasts. For Locked On Fantasy Football, this has been Vinnie Iyer for Lineup Friday for DFS. We'll catch you Tuesday breaking down all what we saw on Wildcard Weekend.